Hello and welcome to the Raptors show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new chunky spicy soup. It's time to get fired up. Make sure you find the Raptors show wherever you listen to podcasts, and please rate and review the program. I'm your host, Wemby. I'm joined for the last time co-hosting. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a sad day, you know.
Is it?
I don't know, but it's been an exciting weekend.
No, it has been great, man. You have been such a good sport. I was just thinking back to, I guess 26 hours ago when we were in these exact seats.
Yes.
Nick Ronaldson was here. We were just roasting you about pants and stuff. No, you're a great sport, man. You really rolled with it. You know, you understand. You got the vision. Man.
Yeah.
You know, and
listen, I got to figure out the whole pants situation too. You guys got me thinking.
No, your pants
I got to go shopping, do the whole thing.
No, come on.
Yeah, why not?
You're fine.
Hit up Dixie Outlet Mall like my guy Ahmed.
Yeah, it was raided in December apparently when they're ready to ship everything out.
But, hey, listen, I appreciate even being able to be on here. Bit of a moment for me just because you think about like where you've been and how long you've been doing this thing. I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years now, and to be here with you to be able to talk basketball for the last 3 days, it's like a little bit of validation. You're like, hey,
of course,
I'm
man.
doing the right thing.
I'm on
the right
thing,
path.
You are doing the right thing, man.
Yeah.
No, congrats to you, man. But I mean, honestly, I appreciate you because Lindsay said a similar thing about like, it's great to you invited me on the show. I really appreciate it. It feels really significant for me. And I'm like, honestly, you did me a huge favor. You know what I mean? Like, Blake's away. Normally when Blake's here, I'll just be like, all right, what do you think, Blake? And then just like
you lob it to Blake.
I could be Draymond and he could be Steph sometimes. I could just pass it to him and let him shoot. No, but I mean, obviously it takes a lot to replace a guy like that.
Yeah, man.
And, you have stepped in, Lindsay stepped in. We will see who steps in next week as well.
Yeah, dun, dun, dun.
Keep that as a mystery, although it's not that big of a mystery, to be honest. But anyway, so today's show, hour one, just going to be the two of us. We want to get a chance to chat about the NBA's offensive boom, and you've had a lot of stats on that. Some potential rule changes we can sort of bring in, just talk about that in general. And, of course, hour two, we're going to look at the Warriors game. Every time the Raptors play the Warriors, we call Andy Liu, friend of the program. Shouts to my Bay Area Asian body double over there. So I'll see you soon, Andy. And then we'll get Michael Grange in studio to talk about things here with the Raptors. But honestly, before all that, Chet versus Wemby, took over last night.
Everything.
I texted you this morning. I'm like, there's no way we can't talk about this.
Yeah.
So, is the rookie of the race over? Rookie of the year race over definitively after what Wemby did last night? I
mean, I thought it was over before last night's game.
Okay.
But I do think it's over now, and it's solidified over. All respect to Chet Holmgren.
He had a good game, too. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah, what did he finish? 23, 7, 5, and a block, right? He had a great game. OKC obviously lost, which is, I guess, surprising, especially because San Antonio has not had a good season.
Yeah, this is their 12th win of the year.
Yeah. But I think it was turning that way already. Just to kind of throw some numbers out there, since January 1st, right? Chet is 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, two and a half blocks on 54 shooting from the field, 39% from 3, 70% from the free throw line.
Yeah. Nice.
Wembanyama. Yeah. By the way, those are good numbers. Really good for a rookie, big man on number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Really respectable. Yeah. He's done a lot for them. All that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Wemby, since January 1st, 23 points, 10 rebounds, almost 4 assists, 1.5 steals, leading the league in blocks at 3.5 blocks per game on 49% from the field, 36% from 3, 83% from the free throw line. The craziest stat, he is shooting 46% on pull-up threes.
Yep.
Since January 1st.
Well, I mean, he's got to pull up because nobody on the Spurs knows how to set him up properly. But, I mean, we saw the battle last night. Chet, 23, 7 and 5. Wemby, 28, 13 and 7. More importantly, I mean, every time they play each other, they love going at each other.
I love it.
This is a rivalry that even goes before they enter the NBA.
USA versus France.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And so, these two guys, they're all pretty much unique as well based on their playing style, based on their body type, all that kind of stuff. They go straight at each other every single time. And it's not to say that, Chet could never score on Wemby because he did plenty of times in this game.
Yeah.
But it felt like every time Chet scored, he'd be like, okay, I'm going to scoop under Wemby for a little layup. And then Wemby would come back the other way and just pull up for 3. And then obviously in the final possessions there, when the Spurs were pulling away, Chet trying to go one-on-one, a step-back fadeaway for a 7-footer, step-back fadeaway. And Wemby blocked that thing so casually to the point where
made him look like he was a child.
Yeah, Chet literally sat down.
Yeah.
And my whole thing was just like, Chet's gotta pick a different rival. Like somebody else.
You pick Brandon Miller, pick someone in this draft.
Anyone else, man. Like Chet versus Scoot Henderson. Like, let's make that the headline. Like, no, you just picked the wrong guy. You know what I mean?
It's tough.
It's tough. I feel bad in a way for Ronaldo because he had to like go up against Messi all the time in comparison.
Right. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. At least that one's closer, though.
I was going to say, I appreciate the fact that you made that comparison because for me, it's like that, too. Messi is on a different whatever.
Even in a way, like last year, like, it was like Nunez versus Haaland. And I'm like, look, man, I love Darwin. That's a mad lad. I love that man.
Haaland's on a different level.
Come on. We got to pick a different rival.
That guy's a machine, man.
Rival Kai Havertz or something. Like,
the thing with Wemby is, like, the way that he plays the game, you just don't know what the final product is going to look like. Because it's still so raw the way he moves on the floor.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a level of coordination, but in that coordination, there's still so much like untapped potential. And you always wonder to yourself, like, what is 25-year-old, 26-year-old Wembanyama going to look like?
Yeah.
Like, how is that
a little bit stronger?
Yeah, probably a little bit stronger. Better ball handler, maybe.
Yeah, more skills.
Yeah. Better shooter, even though like he's already become a better shooter over half a rookie season.
Yep.
I think I don't want to get ahead of myself, and kind of like make this crazy declaration, but he's been everything we've hyped him up to be. Like the greatest prospect since LeBron, all that stuff, the guy who's going to change the league, obviously 7'4" guy who can kind of expand his range. And it's funny to see the comparisons with Chet because those two guys entering the league at the same time, it sort of ties into the offensive explosion thing because we're seeing we can talk about that later, but we're seeing the way offenses explode and the way players are evolving. And, you talk about the archetypes that Chet and Wemby are, which are these like stretch fives who can block shots, who can dribble the ball, who can do pretty much anything on the court. That didn't exist 10 years ago. Like you think of like Dirk Nowitzki was a byproduct of this, right? Dirk Nowitzki was an evolution of the big man, and now you're seeing Chet, Holmgren, and Wemby take that to a different level. You're seeing, obviously, like Hakeem Olajuwon in the 90s was like a revelation in terms of big man, and you're seeing them take it forward. I think the evolution of the big man is such a fascinating aspect of the game because it dictates what happens in the NBA so much too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what in the unique case of these two guys with Chet and Wemby, I mean, it's the specific skill set in that specific body.
Yeah.
And in this specific era of the game. I mean, like the closest comparison you could get is like probably a KD, but KD primarily played as a perimeter player.
Yeah. They call him, as a draft prospect, they called him the XXL Kevin Durant. Like, supersize me, KD.
And that's kind of what it feels like in a way. I think now KD is more explosive athletic than both these two guys, but I don't know. I mean, athletic is useful to a point, but like Wemby's like, I could jump 6 inches and dunk the ball.
Yeah.
I go on my tippy toes and basically dunk the ball.
I still can't, like the free throw line dunk that he had.
Over Derek White.
And it just didn't look like it was a problem for him.
No, it was a Space Jam dunk. He literally did a Michael Jordan and then just extended his arm until he dunked it. Like,
oh, man. It's incredible to see. And to your Rookie of the Year question, like all respect to Chet because I think OKC has been awesome. He's been a big part of them having the number one record in the West.
Honestly, at certain points this season, when you look back at November, December, he was ahead.
Yes, absolutely.
He was ahead, but that's not what this award is. With all due respect.
Yeah.
It's not like, they got like 40 wins versus the Wemby having like a dozen. It's like, nah, that don't matter, man.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year rarely is a winning type of thing. I don't think that's ever been the case. But.
I mean, the most talented players go to the worst teams typically.
Yeah.
Right? He just ended up being in a situation where, especially with the year out that he was able to have last year, recovering from injury, OKC was going to get even stronger, and now he walks into a situation where it's like, you get to play with like an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't have Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same team, man.
He's like,
unless they're the same player. Like, I don't know if Kareem walked in and did something like that, but like,
yeah. He's just, Wemby is making you question what the next. I mean, and the crazy thing is, you can't like replicate a Wemby. You can't say like, there's more 7'4" guys coming to the league.
Exactly.
I mean,
there's no touch points that you're like, okay, this guy did this at this time and whatever.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we go like, okay, what did Giannis do at this age? Compare that to like what Scottie did. You know what I mean? Like you could maybe try to like extrapolate,
draw a through line. You can't do that with Wemby.
No, there's nothing.
The only stuff is like, okay, first 5x5 game since Nurk. Which is, by the way, crazy that Yusuf Nurkic in 2019 was the last guy to do a 5x5 game.
Yeah.
First 10 block game as a rookie since David Robinson, another Spurs legend. First rookie to record last night. First rookie to record 5 threes and 5 blocks in a game. It's like these are just regular things he's doing. It doesn't even seem like it's outside of the bounds of what is possible for him. It just seems regular, and I don't know. Like, even on the defensive end, he's been super impactful for the Spurs. What's going to happen when he figures it out?
What's the stat you hit me with?
Which one?
You were arguing that he could already be in the Defensive Player of the Year race.
I mean, he could be in the race. I think Gobert has locked it down.
For sure.
But
he's a valid candidate because when he's on the floor, how good are the Spurs defensively?
So right now, off the floor, if Wemby is off the floor, 121 defensive rating, it would be dead last in the league by far.
Okay.
30th. Yeah. Okay. On the floor, 114 defensive rating, which would be like there's a bunch of teams that are tied from about 9 to 15.
Yeah.
Like in that range. It would be about a top 10 to 15 defense in the league.
Yeah.
They go from the worst defense to a good defense in the league just by putting him on there. And by the way, like,
and it's all him.
It's all him.
It's all him, obviously.
And the craziest thing is, he can be out of position. He can bite for too many pump fakes, get into foul trouble. Like, he's still not a finished product on the defensive end.
This is literally the worst one we will see.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part.
This is literally the worst one we will see.
Yeah. I think he will get Defensive Player of the Year votes. I would be surprised if he's on, like, we'll probably talk about some crazy rookie seasons here in a second. And it's going to be weird to look at Wemby's first year and the fact that he wasn't an all-star. Because I get it. Yeah. The Spurs suck.
Yeah. And the West was so competitive this year. Like, so many talents, and that's not going to change in the future years.
No, that's true.
But whose spot are you not? Who do you got to bump off the team?
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't even remember the West All-Stars right now.
Like, the worst West All-Star was, like, Paul George.
Yeah. Or Cat, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Only the number 1 seed. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I've been thinking about this, and it's just like, okay, Wemby is the first rookie since.
Talk to me. Yeah.
Like, which rookie? Like, is, he's the best rookie since who, basically, right? And to put it into perspective right now, Wemby's averaging 20.7 points, 10.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.3 steals, and 3.3 blocks. Absurd numbers. I think, to me, like, when you look at points-wise, I mean, since 1990, let's just do a cutoff there, essentially the last 30 years.
So, like, this century, essentially.
Yeah. You got like AI, 23.5.
Yeah.
In 1997, pretty good player.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Shaq in 1993, 23.4. Blake Griffin, 22.5. That's one that surprised me a little bit, 2011. But I forgot how good Blake Griffin was instantly with the Clippers.
He had an insane prime. Like, if you do prime Blake in.
But he, like, entered the league in his prime.
Yeah. But and then the injuries and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. But he came in the league very ready to go, and he was like the last rookie where it was like, you have to see everything he's doing, right? Luka, 21.2 points per game, 2019. Tim Duncan, 21.1 in 1998, and then LeBron, just slightly over Wemby right now, at 20.9 points per game. Those are the only players. AI, Shaq, Blake Griffin, Luka, Tim Duncan, LeBron, who've averaged more points as a rookie than Wemby right now, and those are rookie year winners. Rebounds, whatever. I mean, he's rebounded the ball a ton. It just really just depends on if you play as a big or not. To me, when I thought about it more and more, I'm like, there's certain players that he's in contention with. So Luka, I think he's in contention with in terms of just like the best rookie season. Luka won Rookie of the Year, averaging 21, 8 rebounds and 6 assists in 2019.
Yep.
And I remember that season in particular because the Raptors that year obviously won the championship. And he put 35 on the Raptors, and he was getting guarded by, like, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, OG Anunoby.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
No, his rookie year,
that's tough.
You could tell he was like, oh, he doesn't really even. I mean, he does count as a rookie.
Also sucked too, by the way. The Mavs.
The Mavs were not a good team.
Yeah.
But he didn't even look like a rookie. Like the Real Madrid Luka was there already, and like he was so comfortable. It didn't seem he felt like he was a 10-year vet. You know?
Yeah.
That's not how Wemby looks and feels. Like you can still feel the rawness of what's going on with him.
For sure.
And I think that's the scariest part because it's not a finished product at all.
Exactly. Well, Lucas looked really in control as a rookie in a way that Wemby doesn't yet. It's similar in contention to me, Blake Griffin. Again, that rookie season, 22.5 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists per game.
Yeah.
And then LeBron. I mean, I gotta throw LeBron in there. I mean, he was younger, but like 21, 6 and 6 as a rookie.
Yeah.
You know, pretty incredible. Carmelo was also a really good rookie that year, obviously. LeBron beat him out for Rookie of the Year. Those are the ones in contention with Wemby. I only really, over the last 30 years, found 3 rookies that are like having better seasons than Wemby is having right now.
Okay.
Tim Duncan. Actually, I'll go to Tim Duncan last. AI, I mentioned earlier, he was averaging like 24, 4, and 8 with 2 steals per game. I mean, pretty damn good for AI. Shaq, 1993, 23 points, 14 rebounds, 3.5 blocks per game.
Famously, like one of maybe the best rookie season.
He walked in the league. He was breaking backboards, made the All-Star game as a rookie.
Yeah.
You know, was 7th in MVP voting that year for Shaq with the Magic. And then Tim Duncan, I think, honestly, in the last like 30 years, is just, to me, he had the best rookie season. 1998, he averages, walking into this league his first season, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.5 blocks. He's 5th in MVP voting. He makes all NBA team first team.
First team as a rookie.
All defensive team, second team, all-star game, rookie of the year, and he was 5th in defensive player of the year voting. So those are the guys with better numbers. The thing is, and the thing I haven't said, up to this point, Wemby's averaging 28.7 minutes per game right now. He's at 21, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks in 29 minutes per game. These other guys all played basically 39 to 40 minutes per game.
11 more minutes per game than what Wemby is doing right now.
So on a per minute basis, Wemby really is just having the best rookie season we've seen in the last 30 years.
I mean, I think the fact that you can bring up let's just, for reference, do the per 36
Let's
numbers.
just go per 36. Because, again, Tim Duncan played 39 minutes as a rookie.
Yeah.
Shaq played 38. AI played 40 minutes per game. And those are the 3 that I've really found that are better than him right now.
I have his per 36 numbers here. 26 points.
Yeah.
12 and a half rebounds.
Yeah.
4 steals. 4 assists, 1.5 steals, 4 blocks per game. And he would be doing it on pretty much the same efficiency. So 26, 12, 4. And that's comparable to Shaq, to Tim, to,
it's terrifying, man.
And you don't know what the rest is going to look like. Yeah. Like that's the thing with Wemby. And you know what's funny? You brought up the Carmelo LeBron rookie year.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty apt comparison because if I remember correctly, I was young, but I go back and do this stuff a lot and like look back at history and, kind of see what it looked like back then. Carmelo really started out the gate hot in that year, 2003. And then I believe halfway through the season, the Cavs made a couple of trades, opened up the floor for LeBron a little bit. And then LeBron just kind of took over and went. And he figured out the league a little bit more, too.
I think so.
And if you look 20 years past, like their careers are not comparable.
No.
All respect to Carmelo. Yeah. Going to be a Hall of Famer. I believe he might be already a Hall of Famer. No, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
He's going to be, yeah. You got to wait 5 years.
Yeah. But, hey, like, that's a pretty decent comparison. Chet's still going to have an incredible career.
Yeah.
Probably, all things considered, injury-wise and all that stuff, will have a good career. But Wemby has greatest of all time potential.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Do you like?
Oh,
it's hard to say that when you've only seen 55 games of a dude. And it's
There's
crazy.
No way you
can
rule it
up.
out, though. That's the thing. There's no way you can rule it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, you go through all those names. Like we're talking about like the creme de la creme. We're talking about Tim Duncan.
The greatest of greats.
Yeah. AI. We're talking like, LeBron. Like, and his rookie season, again, especially on a permanent basis, is already above those guys.
Yeah.
In terms of what they did as a rookie. So
I guess my thing is like,
the Spurs got to have some talent, though, man.
This is the thing. Like,
don't waste any time with him.
Would you rush it now, knowing how good he is? I remember you guys.
It?
Like, would you go for a trade this summer? Because I know the conversation.
Would I go for trade this summer? Yeah. Probably.
If the chips, I mean, they have what? They have 14 first-round picks, including the Raptors, by the way.
What are you even going to use those for?
Yeah. Especially when you have Wemby.
That's what I mean. We trying to draft somebody and develop them? Like, no, man. Let's get some good players. Like, look at who he's playing with.
Pancake Mamba.
Yeah, look who he's playing with these days, man. No, he would be more than a pancake Mamba for sure. He'd be a crate Mamba because he's French. Nice. Julian Champagny. He started with Julian Champagny last night.
Yeah.
Jeremy Sohan, who, like, maybe he'll stick around, maybe not.
Okay, cool, versatile defender.
Yeah. 3 threes last night for Jeremy.
Yeah.
Good for him, man. Two for two from the free throw line, too, one-handed.
The one-handed.
Yeah. Trey Jones. They don't even have the better Jones brother. They got Trey Jones working with
But
him.
he's been good. He's been good for Wemby.
Okay.
Which is important.
Devin Vassell. I like Devin Vassell, actually. So no beef with Devin Vassell. Zach Collins coming out the bench?
Not good. Yes.
Chetty Osman, Keldon Johnson, Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley. Like, some of these guys won't even play on the Raptors.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. Let's get them some help. That's all.
I think the type of help. What did I just hear?
That's Darko saying who. Long story.
Real who.
Oh, man. Darko's really been really quotable this year.
Yeah, he's had some quotes.
Yeah.
Hey, pizza party too. We'll talk to Michael Grange.
No, actually, I forgot to inform you the pizza party is dead. Okay, sorry. This comes from up top. No, it's dead. Sorry,
it's done.
Finished. Yeah, sorry. It wasn't my choice.
The types of players Wemby necessarily needs is an interesting conversation to have. Like,
good ones?
Kind of good ones is
not
NBA
Julian
players,
Champagny.
not Julian Champagny.
Again, they don't even have the better Champagny brother. Like, what's going on?
But I think generally finding the fits that work is interesting because he needs a point guard, in my opinion, to set him up a little bit.
Sure.
You see that with Trey Jones. They're plus 2.5 in their minutes together so far this season. He's been great since moving into the starting lineup, I believe, in like January 1st. Devin Vassell, another guy. Guard, can kind of create for himself.
Oh, score, yeah.
Score first type of guy, right? Yeah. Him, Trey, and Wemby together, plus 11 together, which would be a really, really good team. It's just, like you said, finding NBA players to surround them with and filling out that roster with guys that make sense. It's funny because there's this conversation as height becomes more important in the NBA, or I guess important again in the NBA. It's like, do those guards go extinct? Like, does a Trey Jones just not become important anymore? And I don't think that's the case. I think you still need that ability to set someone up, a table setter, organize, to be a quick bursty guy that can get to the rim, engage defense, and then kick it out. Like, that's still a really important skill to have. And you need those type of players around Wemby to maximize him. What that looks like there's a guy in the 2024 draft, Rob Dillingham, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky guard, right?
Long legs, jumps out the gym. He would be perfect next to Wemby. Like, he would be a perfect guard. You can tell me anybody next to Wemby.
You're right. That's true too. Yeah.
But I hear you. Like, keep on your point.
I think, like, in general, you need to facilitate guys who can obviously play defense, but also be able to guard and play guard. And work around him. Like, for a long time, LeBron needed guards next to him. Kyrie, Boobie Gibson, Mo Williams. I know those guys aren't comparable.
I don't know if he needed those guys, but
different tiers there, different levels.
Well, Eric Snow.
Yeah, Eric Snow.
Your boy. Yeah.
Eric, hey,
Yeah, we're watching Eric Snow highlights upstairs, man.
But yeah, you need those type of players, and I guess I'm curious to see how quickly the Spurs accelerate this thing, because, like I said, 14 first-round picks from now till 2030.
Yeah.
It's not OKC level, but you can definitely get into the conversation for a Trey if you need that type of guard. And him and Trey, man, like, it would, I think, if there's any type of player that can insulate Trey Young's defense, it would probably be a guy who, even out of position, is blocking guys like he's blocking a child.
Yeah. I for sure. I think that's a nice fit. It's probably the best player available this summer if he does become available.
Sure.
And I wouldn't mind it. And, if you're going to compete in the West, you're going to need some damn good guards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just look at some of the starting point guards on these teams or the ones who are the lead playmakers on these teams. Like,
Steph, Jamal.
Like Shea, we just saw him last night.
Yeah.
The way Wemby was blocking Shea, too, I'm like, yo, damn, that's scary. Honestly, as a Team Canada fan, I'm like,
Canada versus France is going to be tough.
I don't want to see the rematch of Canada versus France. It was one thing when it was Rudy Gobert and Evan Fournier.
Now it's Rudy, Embiid, and Wemby, which is
Embiid's going with Team USA.
Oh, you're right.
That's right. He's an American.
You're right. Yeah, he's changed so many times. I have no idea.
He's an American, man.
You're right.
He's eating hamburgers at a drive-through, and
is he?
He's got pinstripes on. Yeah. Yeah. In any case, though, I mean, you just need somebody to play with him. But it's been very fun to watch Wemby for sure. And I don't know.
A spectacle. He genuinely is.
I think obviously this is the Raptors show, and you always see some complaints where people are like, just talk about the Raptors. No, we will. Trust me, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, it's coming. But I think in general, it's just really, really good for the sport. And I think that at least so far, I mean, we haven't even seen him grow as a person yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 20 years old, but he seems to have a really good head on his shoulders. One thing when I watch him play too, he doesn't really play for the highlight.
Right.
Like he's not like, he entertains you by just what he's doing, not necessarily like trying to make a flashy play.
Yeah.
Like if he wanted to, he could spike probably 6 shots out of bounds every game.
Yeah. He has all the
intangibles,
intangibles, man.
He always collects his own blocks.
Yeah. Well, it's because he just has to grab it like that.
He doesn't even jump that much, which I actually think is for him not jumping that much. That actually can be better for his longevity.
Probably. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of good things. And of course, like a lot of things have to pan out. You got to have good luck. You know, the way he matures and the way he grows, but even the way he speaks right now, he seems really insulated. You know, when he went to Vegas, he's like, I don't want to go to Vegas. It's like a hellscape. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what?
I understand where he's coming from.
I feel you. Like, there's some fun things to do in terms of just like, you know, and of course people have their own individual tastes, but still, he's like, after the game last night, he probably went to bed and read a book. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. That's his daily routine.
Dude, after the game, the post-game interview where he said, I miss this. Yeah. Like, I love playing here, and San Antonio was on the road for a while, so him being able to embrace the crowd like that. Also, just the fact that San Antonio is obviously a historic organization. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, now they have Wemby. I think the importance that he will have economically on the league is a huge, like, you know, you talk about LeBron. Every time LeBron went to Cleveland, the economy of Cleveland like doubled and tripled. And
that says a lot about Cleveland.
It does. It does.
No one man's doing that in Toronto. I'm just saying.
But like Wemby's going to have a similar effect in San Antonio, I imagine. And the other aspect to this is, you know, there's been this conversation about face of the league and who's going to be the face, who's going to be this. Like, you know, there's Edwards, there's Shea, there's Jokic, there's Luka. Like, these guys are obvious.
Hello.
Giannis?
No. Derek, play the clip. Scotty Barnes is going to be the face of this league.
Scotty Barnes.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, there's Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
But realistically, from going to All-Star Weekend and seeing how much they were propping him up to, you know, airing his games when he was in France on the NBA app to everything that they do.
Even though the game they set up last year to build up hype, him versus Scoot.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys who went up against rivaled Wemby,
it's like it's not a competition anymore, man.
We don't talk about Wemby versus Scoot no more.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's also another characteristic where it's like every rivalry he's making a non-rival.
I don't know.
It's not a competition with any of these guys. All respect to Scoot and Chet.
I don't think about you at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, man. Sorry, Scoot Henderson.
That's the part that's crazy to me. Face of the league, I think it's clear where we're headed here with how he looks. You know?
We're in a good spot, honestly, talent-wise in the league, for sure. I think the real question is there too much offense in the league? And that's been a big point of discussion. So we're going to take a quick break and come back with that. Been your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, presented by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. Welcome back to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Luke. To be joined, Esfandiar Baraheni.
Yo.
We're going to talk about the offensive explosion in the league, and S is going to give you some stats, some context around just how much offense has changed in the league.
Yeah. First, for kind of a point of reference here, I wrote about this for Forbes, I think, at the All-Star Weekend. I got to talk to a lot of players about this, got to talk to Steph Curry, Jaylen Brown, all these types of players. There was a wide range of opinions on how to change this, if it was worth changing, everything like that. But just to give you guys some context, right? Points per game since the 2013-2014 season. In 2013-2014, teams averaged about 100. Shout out to Amit, by the way, for pulling up all these stats, my guy. Nice. Points per game in 2013-2014, the average was 101 points, right? Now, it's 115, which is big. But even to contextualize it a little bit more to this relevant era, I guess, over the last 5 years, in the 2018-2019 season, the Warriors had the #1 offensive rating in the league at 115. Now, the #1 offensive rating in the league is the Celtics at 121. Okay? The Sacramento Kings last year set the all-time record in offensive rating at 119.4 points per 100 possessions. There were, before the All-Star break, 5 teams that were beating that mark already. There's now 3, so it's shifted a little bit, but there were 5 teams that were already lapsing the Sacramento Kings from last year. 13 of the top 20 offenses in NBA history are happening this season. So the offensive explosion is just out of this world, especially this year. Tim Bontemps from ESPN also covered this. He had a really, really great stat I wanted to bring up to you. The space that's covered by defenses has increased by about 5% just since the 2021-2022 season.
What does that mean?
So the surface area that a team has to guard has increased by 5%. How they track that is ESPN stats and solutions to figure out.
I imagine it was like at the 3-point line. Now it's like
probably a little
2-3 feet above the 3-point line.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's only from 2021, 2022. If you were to compare it, we were just watching 2001 NBA Finals highlights.
Oh, man.
It's like not even comparable.
Yeah.
Although there's some moments where you're like, hey, you can see where this is going, right?
Yeah.
Now the point is, do you think we have gone too far? Do you think offensive explosion has gone too far? And I guess the side note to this is, why has offensive explosion gone too far? How do you feel about all that?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I appreciate the research by both you and Ahmed around this subject, just to give people like a sense, a context. You know what I mean? You got to think about NBA basketball in the same that you had to think about like a junior chicken. You know, you used to get 3 junior chickens for $5.
Oh man,
now it's 2 junior chickens
man.
for $5. Now it's just 1 junior chicken for $5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't even get the spicy Thai sauce on it. They took it away. I'm sorry, that's just me talking about McDonald's.
Oh, you were doing that?
Yeah.
I gotta
put you
game.
on, man.
You gotta respect your game.
Big boy like me knows what's good.
All right.
Sorry,
all right. But in any case, so there's obviously a lot of factors that have gone into this, right? I think a couple things. Number one, skill-wise, it's just undeniable that players are, especially in terms of more efficient scoring, players are definitely way more skilled at things like 3-point shooting. People are definitely better across the board at handling. And honestly, it's not even just the top-end players, because you could tell me, like, I don't know, man. You can't tell me like AI is less skilled than like whoever the best guard is right now, right? Or like
SGA, whatever.
SGA, yeah. AI versus SGA, the skill wise, they're probably kind of almost similar.
Yeah,
it's the bottom end players. I was watching, for some reason, a video compilation of Andre Roberson.
That's
just like
great. That's sick.
Absolutely airmailing threes, wide open ones from the corner where he has 10 seconds to shoot that thing and nobody's coming close to him. And this is for an OKC team that went to the conference finals.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the year they went up against Steph, right?
They were up 3-1 on Steph in a 73-win season with Andre Roberson shooting back from the corners. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no more Thabo Cephalosha. There's no more.
If you compare number one options now versus number one options in the past, maybe not that much advancement.
Yeah.
But number 4, number 5 options from this and the rest of the past, not even close.
Yeah. No, I love that point because the bar has moved up.
Yeah.
The floor for all these guys is just the skill wise.
To bring us something local, you mentioned 2013, 2014. NBA offense is averaging 100 points. Now it's 115 points.
Yeah.
Who was the Raptors backup center in like 2014, 2015, that range? Chuck Hayes?
Yeah, Chuck Hayes.
Our backup center is Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
Offensively, like, come on.
Not even comparable.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, in any case, there's a skill jump. I think there's also a tactics jump. For a large time, the NBA just played as if the 3-point line was there for decoration.
We just watched the 2001. So in the 2001 finals, like 90% of the guys were just like on the 3-point line, not behind it, not in front of it. They were on it as if it didn't exist.
They would step on it, you know, and as if that was also counting for 3 points. You used to hear back in the day, especially when you watched it, right? A guy closed out to a 3-point shooter. They pump fake, and then they take one dribble, fly past the closeout, and take a long 2. Yeah. And they would always say, "What a smart move." Seriously, that was a smart fundamental move, right? And that was like not just the commentators like, you know, being wrong, or it's not even about that. That was just a consensus at that time. Yeah. Skill in terms of tactic wise, we have seen a progression in tactics towards where you find both efficiency and also what leads to wins. And of course, we've seen that take place after changes in tactics actually led to championships. So the Heat going small, going to championships.
Chris Bosh at the 5, et cetera.
Chris Bosh at the 5. Then you see the Spurs with their ball movement and all that, and the emphasis on the 3. When the Warriors come up like that and they're shooting threes with this reckless abandon, which honestly at this point, they're pretty like a below average 3-point shooting team based on how much teams shoot the 3. So you see a tactics change coming as well. And then on top of that, I do think that there are actual skill changes. You know, you might say that like players aren't as physical as they were before. Average age of the league is younger. You know, maybe attention to detail isn't as high. Fundamentals, blame AAU. Like you can go down the list. But to me, the major two are just like the worst guys in the league are a million times better than the worst guys in the past. Skill levels are good across the board. And then tactics-wise, the league is actually catching up to essentially more optimal strategy.
Well, it's the implementation of data science. It's analytics being brought into the NBA over the last 10 years and saying, well, the best shot you have are, 3-point shots or shots within 5 feet of the basket. Layups and threes are what we want to optimize on any given night. That's changing a little bit now where teams are realizing the value of being able to score in that, mid-range area.
Sure.
You talk about, especially in the playoff setting, like just being able to score and get to the bucket is super, super important. I think eventually you're seeing that optimization, but also we were talking about this before, the skill level allows for that, or maybe like the creativity that is involved in basketball allows for a little bit of a tweak. So it's the optimization plus, hey, we have these guys who are highly skilled who can do a bunch of different things, not just shoot threes, not just get to the lane, but do, mid-range pull-ups, floater game, deep threes, whatever you want to call it. There's this level of skill out there that just didn't exist 10 years ago, 13 years ago. And it relates, like you look at the stats, again, shout out to Amit, but he pulled it up, 3-point attempts in 2013, 2024, 21.5 average. Now, every team, averages about 35 a game. You're shooting 14 more threes a game. That
I don't even think the 73-win Warriors shot 35 threes a game.
You're probably right.
You know what I mean? And that's just an average team now.
Yeah.
The Detroit Pistons will put up 35 threes, and it's not even a headline.
Easily. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think, we were talking about Wemby before this and how he kind of, the space being covered whole aspect. The great equalizer there, what is it? Length.
Yeah.
It's being able to cover more ground with your limbs.
Yeah.
And so that creates a little bit of an equilibrium. As big men become more important, and again, not more important, important again, I wonder if maybe we see a correction here. And it's never going to be a perfect science. We're never going to reach equilibrium with basketball. It's always going to be a give and take. But you're just trying to figure out what that is. And I think you see this offensive explosion. It's funny. Tom Haberstroh, shout out to him. He's on the Blazers broadcast usually. He just dropped an article today saying...
He's got a Substack, yeah.
Yeah, got the Substack. Scoring is down. It's post-All-Star break. Again, it's a very small sample. But why is scoring down? Because fouling is down 20%.
Yeah, sure.
And I guess this is the thing I wanted to ask you. What are some solutions in terms of this offensive explosion? What do you think are some things that could work to maybe even the playing field, I guess? Because clearly not fouling, not calling as much fouls is part of it. But is there something else?
So actually, before we even say that, honestly, to me, I feel like the league is realizing, quote unquote, they're getting closer to like optimal basketball, quote unquote.
Sure.
Right? In the way that like baseball has really over the years progressed more towards optimal baseball in terms of what statistically and how you should play, even regardless of talent, to get to the most result, which is wins. Right? Where people feel really uncomfortable with this is the most optimal basketball might not be the most aesthetic basketball that people actually enjoy. And so, yes, people enjoy winning, but do they enjoy winning under specific terms? And I think what's starting to happen is more and more basketball looks less and less like how you and I would go play basketball, or how the average person watching basketball would want to. No, my point is like, if you're going to an average pickup game, not everybody has everybody spaced out perfectly in the corners.
Yeah.
Right? They're not running a high pick and roll, and they're probably running pick and roll, but they're not running a high pick and roll with a lot of pull up threes, and they're never taking mid range shots. They're never taking like little like post up floater, like all that kind of stuff that like realistically, the way you would like, I guess the average person has interacted with basketball in their life, whether they played it in gym class or some other higher level, whatever, or they just played at a playground, that's what they conceptually know to be basketball. And then when they see people playing this version of basketball, the more that version of basketball, which is optimized, which is much more athletic, much more spaced out, much more like, honestly, like strategy driven.
Yeah.
I feel like the bigger disconnect, people are going to be like, why am I watching this product? This is a different exercise.
Can I read you a quote from Jaylen Brown from the same article I wrote?
Yeah.
Again,
go ahead. Plug your stuff, man. Get your stuff off.
Okay, listen. So this is exactly from All-Star Weekend. This is what Jaylen Brown said. I thought it was a fascinating quote in terms of what players think about what the league wants. He said, I think the league is getting what they wanted. They wanted high-scoring games, create more things that could get marketed. As a purist, for the purity of the game, I would definitely like to see more defensive rules that could be on the side of the defender. It kind of seems like it's hard to guard anybody. That's why I give such respect to guys that are committed to that side of the ball.
Sure, yeah.
So
that's fair. That's totally fair.
I think
there's
he has
a
point.
commercialization of the game too that I think has gone hand in hand with the optimization of the game too.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But in any case, in terms of rule changes, I mean, I think number one across the board, if you want to help the defense, you call less fouls. This is top-down, broad kind of things. Now, I think the question is, what type of foul do you want to call less of or allow more of?
I have one specifically that jumps to mind. So when an offensive player beats a defensive player to a spot, this is usually when you're driving into the lane.
Yep.
And I think there is room for interpretation in this. It doesn't necessarily need a full-blown change in the rule.
Okay.
But there's moments where a guard or even a wing will drive, beat a defender to the spot, and it'll automatically be a foul on the defender.
Okay.
I think there are moments where that's absolutely the case, but there are also moments where the offensive player is clearly just trying to get the foul because they know, like, the classic example is Trae Young. Trae Young does this a lot, but
that little weasel.
Right.
That's my nickname for him.
You call him a weasel.
He's a weasel, man. He just weasels around.
He does weasel his way around.
Hopefully he weasels with Wemby in the future. Would love to see that, man.
No, but
little Tom and Jerry act over there.
That would be Tom and Jerry. You're right. That is a good call.
I would. You know what? I don't want him there. I like the purity of Wemby too much.
The purity of the game.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
No, I think those type of fouls could either be a no call or I don't think it should be an offensive foul. But you just let that level of physicality happen. If two guys get to the spot at the same time, if it's not excessive, if it's not something that, a guy gets thrown onto the ground for, you can kind of I know it's hard. It's part of the interpretation. And by the way, this is another side note issue here, which is there's been a ton of new referees in the NBA. A lot of the older referees have retired.
This is a bigger problem. A lot of people, they're having a hard time recruiting.
Yeah.
Even though it's a really well-paid job, even though it's a pretty prestigious job.
Hey, I would love,
Sure, yeah. You get to wear the Emirates on they've got sponsorships on the direct jerseys now. That's
that
wild.
Is crazy.
But no, there's an actual problem where it's like referees are taking, especially across the board in all sports, taking so much abuse.
Yeah.
And it's been highlighted to such a degree that it's actually made it really difficult to recruit more refs.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost artificially, it's a downward cycle in terms of the more you have bad ref decisions and also the sheer amount of scrutiny that goes into it, the less people they are able to recruit, and then the less the quality goes down and more and more. But anyway.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
But I guess I don't know. No one has sympathies for the referees. Apparently, I'm sorry.
Well, also, how do you fix that other than just giving them the experience and giving them the time to figure things out? Like, there's no other way to do it other than to get reps.
Well, there's less and less room for human error, and especially now that there's so much gambling in the game too. Like, there's a way more, even more scrutiny on refereeing.
Yeah,
as there should be, really. If there's people money on the line, of course you will want everything to be as transparent and honest as possible.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Anyway,
I think that is the one type of foul.
Okay,
it's not even.
So you don't want like an offensive player jumping into a defensive player.
Essentially,
yeah.
And I by the way,
you don't want Jalen Brunson to have a success in this league.
the little shake pivot moves. Nah,
I don't mind his moves. It's fine.
No, he's crafty. I think ultimately the NBA has tried to take this away. Like they had those moves where if you jump and you're not jumping in your actual shooting motion, we're going to call it an offensive foul now.
Yeah.
The kick out rule, all these type of things. They've tried to implement these things, but I just don't feel it's to the point where the defense has a chance to be able to really be physical. And that's why, we were talking to Danny Green yesterday. We talked about the difference between the regular season and playoff basketball.
Yeah.
One of the bigger differences is that they allow more physicality. You're able to guard and be a little bit more physical with your defender. I think you don't necessarily need a rule change. You just need referees to have a different interpretation of what the rule means.
Okay.
And that's a hard thing to distinguish.
This is the one thing I push you back on. I think to me, it's like if the offensive player beats the defensive player to the spot, and then there's contact, then the offense has won. You need to. The questions are if they both go to the same spot roughly at the same time, then there should be kind of like a neutral. And then if the offensive player makes another move that baits a defender out of position, then you can punish the defender, right? But the tie cannot go to the offense.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
I mean, like, look, if you beat me to the spot and I just and then I just cut you off by grabbing you or something like that, like that's a foul. That's in any, well, not most sports, it's like that. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, if the defensive player actually beats the offensive player to the spot, that should obviously absolutely be a call in the defensive player's favor. But
I have another suggestion.
Okay, what's the other suggestion?
This is something that's very common, a very common suggestion, which I don't agree fully with removing defensive three in the key. That happens in Euroball. That happens in the thing. I don't necessarily agree with completely taking it away. Okay. By the way, like in the NBA, they don't call it much either.
They really don't call it much.
What about extending it?
Do you want 5 seconds?
Give me 5 seconds.
I don't mind 5 seconds.
Because they're not going to call it anyways, but they're going to call it even less now.
I think the opposition to that is, well, you already don't want to see a game with a lot of pull-up jump shooting.
Yeah. Do you think that happens in...
You probably have to shoot it more if the paint is more, like, clogged. But I think the alternate of that is now the perimeter players can play more physical and worry less about blow-bys.
Right.
So you have less of a chance to pull up.
Yeah. That's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
So it's a give and take, I think. I don't mind it. I actually would be in favor of defensive 5 seconds. I also think this doesn't help offensive explosion come down, but I think it cuts the game closer to maybe an equilibrium that feels more like I don't know, balanced. Yeah, I suppose balance is the way. Like, they kind of somehow make dunks worth 3 points as well. The fact that a three-pointer is worth 50% more than a two is just like, it's too big of a relative advantage.
What if they were to change it to like 2.5 points?
Okay, that would be ideal in terms of like mathematically, but I just don't think no one's going to be oh, man.
A 2.5 pointer.
Kevin Harlan's like, wow, Kawhi with a 2.5. And the Sixers are going home.
The Clippers are up 0.5.
Is this the 2.5 dagger? Like, no, it's too difficult. It's just like the dunk contest when they started doing the averages of people out of 50, and it was like, Obi Toppin with a 47.8. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no.
What are we doing here, man?
Jacob Toppin got robbed, by the way. Just another side note here. But
he did get robbed, but he could have also done that cool dunk earlier in the dunk contest. I hate when players are like, yo, I was saving this for the finals.
I agree.
I'm like, yo, you're presumptuous, man. Do that stuff before you get to the finals, please. You know what I mean?
Is there anything else, I guess, offensive explosion-wise? Like, does anything come to your mind in terms of a change?
I would say, you know what? Let's go with some of the existing ones. Taking away the corner three, I'm going to say no.
Absolutely not. I completely agree with you.
It just looks too silly. But I do agree that the corner three is a little bit too overpowered. Like, if you're developing a video game, you would patch out a corner three.
What if they were to
the fact that there's so many players whose whole career is just, I'm going to wait in the corner and catch a shoot from there.
PJ Tucker would be cooked.
No, it's just you're not skilled enough to score that many points. Like, you shouldn't be rewarded that many points for catching and shooting on the corner. Like, if you run to the corner or you you know what I mean? Like, corner threes aren't created by themselves, and that bothers me in a way. But I don't think you can change the geometry of the game that much.
A little side note here before we go to break.
Yeah,
the Raptors are actually an interesting case of this because you know, if you think about how they've changed their identity from defense to offense, it's kind of fitting to see how they'll kind of coexist in this new environment moving forward.
Okay,
I think that's just one thing I wanted to bring up. You know, to make it more Raptors related. It's like, as this offensive explosion is happening, as teams are trying to figure out how to play better defense, this is now a team that is trying to harp on the offensive side. Very interesting to see what that trend looks like moving forward.
By the way, to the point of offensive explosion, last year's Raptors team, known for its misery in the half-court offense, is actually the highest offensive rating the Raptors have ever posted in the franchise, 115.5. All right, to put that in perspective, the Raptors the year they won the championship with Kawhi, with Danny, with Serge, whatever, 113.8.
Wow.
Last year's offense was the most efficient offense.
That's
the league is a little inflated, there's no doubt. But we're going to take our break. Been your host, Willie. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's New Chunky Spicy Soup. When we come back, friend the program, Annie Lou. Welcome back to the Raptors show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Blue. Man, 2 more segments left. How you feeling?
Sad, man.
Yeah.
You know, end of an era.
You want to take a chunky spicy soup as a memento? Just take it from the set, man.
I don't want to have to do that to y'all, man.
No. It's part of the ad.
Oh, really?
You have to take it.
Listen, thank you very much.
Yeah, you got to take it.
I'm very excited to try this for what it's worth.
You should be.
The spicy.
What do you like your spice level, man? It's right in the middle, this one.
Listen, I can handle my spice.
Yeah.
I
hear you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got to respect your game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could eat, man. Like, listen. So there's like these peppers that my in-laws make, and every time I go to their house, they're like, don't have them. I'm like, I'm having them, and then they're like, wow, they're like, I can't believe you're so good at handling your spice.
All right.
I'm a guy. I'm a spice guy. Get me on hot ones, man.
Get you on hot ones. What are you going to ask you on hot ones, man?
What do you mean?
I'm not trying to be rude.
Commercials, bro.
What are you about to tell Sean Evans, man? Go ahead. Yeah. What's the craziest thing you tell Sean Evans right now?
Oh man, no. Listen, the spice isn't in me. I can't open up like that.
No, you backed off of hot ones. So this is cold ones. All right, Andy Lou, Light Years Podcast. What's up, my brother? How you doing, man? Yo, we got you on mute. I don't know what's going on.
You're muted, brother.
Oh, just classic boomer behavior. No big deal. What's up, guys?
What up? What's up, man? I appreciate you. Yo, so Steph's finally going to be...
Happy Chinese New Year, by the way. Happy Chinese New Year.
Oh, Year of the Dragon? I know you're too young for Year of the Dragon, man. You're not old. You're not old enough to be 36, and you're not young enough to be 24. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I wish I was 24. My sister's Year of the Dragon, so it's so this is what happens in every Chinese suburb or wherever is that we're gonna get a ton of kids that are gonna be the smartest kids ever, because every Chinese family right now is trying to have a Year of the Dragon kid.
Of course.
So, no, that's it is the coolest one though. I'm completely honest about it.
I'm Year of the Pig.
That's cool, man.
Is it cool?
You just talk about how you love to eat.
You're the rat, you're the snake. I'm You're the ram, or it could be sheep.
Yeah.
But
ram sounds cool.
Ram is pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Y'all can't all be monkeys, like wily, cunning, makes friends easily.
Wait, is that you? Monkey?
You're the monkey, man.
Okay.
Yeah, me and my mom both the same.
Cool.
All right, Andy. This is not what people brought us in to talk about. Although, honestly, you and I will. We could talk about this all day, really.
Yeah.
Raptors play the Warriors tonight. So Steph is going to be playing in Toronto for the first time since Game 5, 2019. He's just been ducking Toronto, man. He's just been afraid. He's been afraid of Fred VanVleet, man.
Yeah. I assure you, quickly is going to go for 40 tonight. Actually, I assure you.
What? Wow, really?
Do you remember? I mean, you guys obviously do, but the last time the Raptors played the Warriors, that was disgusting. That was one of the nastiest games of the year, actually, with Masai in the building asking for Kuminga. The Warriors decided to no-show. Yeah, so that was great. We're locked in. And by the way, you guys know the Warriors didn't get into Toronto till like 6 or 7 a.m. last night.
Yeah, they had to change planes, But I mean, I don't know, man. These guys
tough life, The private jet.
That doesn't change much, man. That doesn't.
Well, we'll see. Okay, well, speaking of Kuminga, because this is like, you guys got a number 2 option again, man. Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, if Masai were ever to have plucked the right one, Kuminga would have been it. But it seems like, look, Kuminga was never on the table. I mean, he's the owner's favorite. When you reach that status, you're never getting moved. But I think you had a point, man. I think he might have been light years ahead. Jonathan Kuminga right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, light years ahead. That's funny. That's funny. If it was light years ahead, Tyrese Halliburton's on the team. I am one of the. I'm not as high on Kuminga as everyone else.
Really?
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I'm not.
That's surprising.
I see the vision. So my type of player, I love watching Draymond. Like his, I mean, everyone likes Steph and Clay. I mean, it's obvious, but not many people, in my opinion, through the years have understood that Draymond's the second best player on the Warriors. He's been that way for long, obviously not counting KD. And a lot of that is based on IQ and the way that they understand how to play basketball on both sides of the court. To me, Kuminga was never that guy, which is why I was always like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Turns out though, that athleticism can just be a skill that you can't teach, kind of to me like IQ is. I think you can't teach IQ. But with Kuminga, he might be, what do you guys think, like top 5 athlete in the entire NBA, which is an NBA
probably up there. Yeah.
Easily. Like, who else is even close to as
Precious Achua for sure.
All right. I didn't think you'd go there immediately. Damn.
Hey, but okay, whatever. Giannis.
40 minutes a game, by the way.
Yeah, Giannis is a good pick. Yeah, I like Giannis. Yeah, Giannis is a good one.
Giannis.
Ja.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
No, but Kuminga's in that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He's just got to poster Jakob Poeltl a couple of times to get the Ja status.
That'll be
it could happen tonight. Oh yeah, he's playing tonight. Yeah. He's our second. He's our second best player right now, to be honest.
It's a little sad, actually. But I think that the thing with Kuminga is he's so athletic. He's actually learning how to play basketball. So I guess the point I'm trying to connect is he's learning how to play basketball the way that I think players that I love have always known how to play basketball. And people always ask me, why does Podziemski play 30 minutes a game? He's slow, he's small, and I'm just like, he knows how to play basketball. I don't know what to tell you. Like
he plays bigger than. He plays big too. Like rebounding is incredible from Pods.
Rebounding, takes a bunch of charges, right? Makes the right pass, all that stuff that Steve Kerr likes. That's why he plays 30 minutes. And honestly, like more often than not, I think Warriors fans will argue that Kuminga should have been given more of a rope. But year 3, I think he's figured out the offensive system that the Warriors play, and now he's putting it together pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. Second option stuff is interesting. Last night he played the best game I think he did as a Warrior in New York. So we'll see. We'll see, because there really hasn't been much of a sample size for Kuminga in his career. I think part of it is not really his fault, just where he ended up being.
I think it's also getting him those playoff reps this year, right? Like seeing how he does in a playoff setting, because he didn't play. He didn't play much.
He didn't play. He didn't play.
Yeah, like barely in their 2022. I can't remember.
Like 20, man.
Yeah, I know. He was super young.
So he played the first year they won the championship. They started him against Memphis and he was terrible. So they didn't play him again.
Right.
I think that made sense. The second year last year I thought was unacceptable. Because the team was a joke. They were terrible and they were getting bullied all day. Yeah. And Anthony Lamb was playing minutes. And the moment the playoffs started, Anthony Lamb got benched and Moses Moody was playing. Honestly, it was unacceptable coaching. And he should have played. They were never going to win anything. But I think part of it was, Steph and Draymond were kind of like, hey, man, like this kid, he's kind of more into himself than he is helping the team. Like, forget it. We're not going to bother. That's the same with Poole. You remember the Steph speech that they reported on? Like, that was directly to Poole and Kuminga, right? So more Poole, but Kuminga was part of that too. So this season, we saw the same thing. He, one of the games he got benched down the crunch time when their Jokic hit the game winner. First thing Kuminga did was go tell Shams how much he didn't trust Steve Kerr. You know what I mean? So it's like stuff like that. I think Kuminga's right, but doing stuff like that is kind of crazy, right? It's kind of like you're not that good. So since then, I think they've figured out, Steve and him have figured out like kind of what you need to do to stay on the court, and he's part of the future now. So
how are you?
I wouldn't say that 3 months ago.
Sure. I'm actually curious now, since you brought up the coaching aspect. How are you feeling about the extension Steve Kerr just got?
It's
Sleepy Steve. Another term for Sleepy
Steve. He's like the most polarizing person on Warriors Twitter is Steve Kerr. Like everything.
I thought you were going to say Jim Park.
Well, yes, Jim Park too. Yeah. But by proxy, Jim Park and Steve. I can't believe Jim Park has made it onto the Raptors show. But
I was going to say that was impressive. I don't think anybody knows. That's my guy right there. But Steve is he's interesting, because if you look at Steve outside in, like Raptors fans, I'm sure they'd be so happy if Steve Kerr was their coach. I also think from a macro level, I can sit here and be like, yo, Steve Kerr's awesome on a macro level. Like how he handles the Wiggins situation is great. Right now, Wiggins is gone again. And all that, like how he handled Clay coming off the bench is like, there's not really many coaches in the NBA that can do that. But then you talk about the micro decisions, right? Like we talked about Anthony Lamb. We talked about why Moses Moody didn't play all year. All of a sudden he's starting now and he looks amazing. Yeah. Stuff like that. And you're just like, does he know what he's doing? Right. So it's just he's so good at some of the bigger stuff, which I think what's more important, getting Clay to buy in right now in the next couple of years when he resigns that extension, right? Or figuring out like 10 minutes a game for Moody. Like I would argue the Clay stuff is more important, which is why Kerr got that extension, which is why he's the right coach. Also, I think the last thing with him is, look, man, if they had gotten rid of Kerr,
dude, who's walking in and commanding the same respect from that group?
That's true.
And Steph's losing his mind. Steph is not.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to request a trade or anything. It would never go that far, because he would step in and say like, hey, just give Steve 20 mil or whatever it is. And let's just so I honestly, that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Just like, let's just get this done. And like, for a guy like him, think about it this way. He turned down, he could have gotten a 5-year contract like Monty Williams. And so you multiply 15 times 3, the 3 extra years, like it's another 45 million that he turned down.
Yeah.
Just because he was just like, I'm just going to go coach until Steph's contract is up. He turned down 45 mil. I get he's rich, but
do you think Steve wants to coach if it's outside the Warriors? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't want to.
I get the sense that he wants a break.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I actually thought he'd be done this season because he wants a break, but I get it. Two more years after this. Line it up with Steph. After that, you know, I think Clay's going to sign a 2-year after this too, and just line it up that way. I think Draymond's got an extra one after that, and so whatever.
Just it's like extend the window, right? Just extend it to
2-3 years. Nobody wants to see this group break up.
No, that's
why it was weird to see everybody like struggling. Clay, I think, has been. I mean, Draymond's punching people, but I think Clay was struggling more. Walk us through Clay's season. Like, what is to the average observer who only sees like an NBA Central headline here or there that only ever paints players in terrible light. Like, walk us through like the on the ground what Clay has gone through this season and where he is right now.
So, I think Clay it's a story about how someone's grasping or grappling with their life, right? With their career, not real life, but their basketball career and their mortality. I think that's the word I'm trying to go for. And he's doing it in real time, and he's doing it without running PR. He's not doing the LeBron. He's not doing the KD. He's not, honestly, like even Steph. Like Draymond, remember when he punched pool and came out with a documentary? Like, what are you doing here? Everything's PR. Everything's a soft launch. Right? Yeah. Clay's not doing that, right? Yeah. He's as honest as possible. He's like, look, man, some days this is rough. Some days I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm yelling at coaches. I'm yelling at players. I'm not getting along with people. He's going out there, and some nights he's shooting 20 shots a game for no reason. Some nights he's not playing and he's getting benched and he's on the bench sulking. I think this is the most honest we've seen in a basketball player in a long time.
100% agree.
And I think that's cool. Not for him, because his career is kind of, you know, at the tail end. But I think when you talk about being a sports fan, these are the things that I think we don't get to see in the NBA anymore, because everyone's so fake. Everyone is a brand. Everyone is trying to make money somehow. Everyone's got their own documentary. Nobody asked for half these documentaries, but everyone's doing their thing. And Clay's just out there like, dude, this is who I am. Like, I'm struggling, and I'm going to tell you I'm struggling. And you can see sometimes he's like tearing up, about to cry, and you can see how happy he is when he has good games. Yeah. I think that is the story of Clay's season. And I think there were moments where I don't know if he was going to be a Warrior anymore, but this next stage of him telling us that he's happy to come off the bench, I think kind of cinches he's going to sign your 2-year extension at the end of this. At the end of this year, and he'll retire a Warrior, which is the perfect. You guys said it. It is the perfect end for these 3 guys. I'm glad they got there, because it was looking pretty tenuous. If you had asked me the same question 6 weeks ago, I would tell you, I don't know about Clay, and I don't know about Steve, and I for sure don't know about Draymond. And now it seems like, you know, they probably won't win a championship, but they'll be here together.
I think there's a certain like beauty in, like, especially in sports today, everything's so like analyzed to a degree that, you know, it ever has been. You know, there is so much more money on the line than there ever has been, and that all means that you have to have success now, every single moment.
Instant gratification.
There is no like time for people to work things out, and the Warriors, as a function of how much you guys have already won, actually have that kind of latitude to be like, you know what? Yeah, we're struggling. Yeah, we're down. Yeah, we're 4 games over 500 right now. But like, and we've lost a whole bunch of heartbreakers. I don't have to tell you that, Andy, this season. I've seen so many Warriors just stupid losses this year. You guys should really not be in the play-in. But, you know, at least they're in the right spot. Like, Clay's in the right spot where he can actually go through this. Because any other team, he would just be ostracized and dumped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Steph, which obviously he's the leader in all of this, I think he would rather go into these next 2.5 years with a 5% chance of winning a championship versus doing something maybe that the front office wants to do and trade these guys and go do some.
Y'all don't want LeBron?
I want LeBron.
You want LeBron?
I tell you right now, I need LeBron.
I would have never. Wow, of all people, I never thought I would hear that from you, man.
Dang.
I've never ever seen you act like this. You need LeBron? Nah, get out of here.
Oh, I need LeBron. I don't know if the Warriors. I need LeBron because.
What do you need LeBron for, man?
Is this Steph narrative stuff? You're like, oh, LeBron joining Steph? Is that what it is?
Oh, that's like, you see, your light years. See, I was like maybe my third or fourth kind of thing, but I think it's good for the NBA. I think the NBA is struggling. It has been for years with viewership. I think you can argue that having Steph and LeBron in different places like that's great because both places are doing great. But can you imagine the NBA having Steph and LeBron on the same team? They'll be the greatest 7 seed of all time. They will. It'll be amazing television. It'll be LeBron, not 3, not 4, but 7 seed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also good for my podcast.
Oh yeah,
I get more listens, of course. That's really the number one thing. But I do think the 2 best players of the last 15 years, them playing together, would also just be something we'll never see in sports.
Yeah,
we never see it in the NBA. I think that's pretty cool.
It's gonna be 18 documentaries following the team.
Oh my God,
there won't be beat reporters. There'll just be entire production crews.
Oh, I mean, like the Giant, my baseball team has a Korean guy. They have like an entire Korea following him around.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with Shohei Yamamoto.
Bro, we had Yuta Watanabe here, man. It was the same deal. We had a reporter every single day. Shouts to Takeshi, man. You're my guy, but like, come on. You know,
I hope Jung-Hoo Lee's better than the Yuta Watanabe of NBA. That's for sure.
I don't even know who that is, though. But I don't really follow baseball like that. I'm like, yeah, cool, man.
Oh, man. I would enjoy
his movies.
I got that. I understood that one. I would enjoy LeBron. And the other thing I think you mentioned it is like, I mean, he's going to the Warriors. I actually think that he wanted to go to the Warriors, and I talk about PR stuff, like Braun being Braun, like he wasn't gonna risk the PR of saying like, oh, I want to go.
I joined, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna have to roll it out a different way this offseason. Like I think he's gonna have to wait to see how the playoffs go.
So you think this could still happen?
Oh, 1,000% this can still happen. Absolutely. It's LA or he's not leaving California, not going across country New York. No. But again, like I don't know, it's like a 5% chance, maybe a 1% chance, but I need it.
Okay.
I absolutely need it.
This
I need
like
the drama, man.
This is like the Shohei conversation we had this summer, because me and Andy were talking about Shohei.
Yeah.
Blue Jays trying to go for Shohei. And he's like,
are you still Shohei Stan account or no? I gotta look that up, man. I guess not, because he's at the Dodgers.
No, not anymore.
Yeah. That's tough.
No, I'm the Korean guy.
This guy just grandson of the wind Stan account.
That's the Korean guy's nickname, man. It's great.
Grandson of the wind. Yo, Asian nicknames are hard, man. I love it. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be as painful if it doesn't happen, because Shohei, you gotta remember, Shohei was choosing between teams versus, and the Dodgers are.
Yeah.
You know where we are, man?
Unbelievable. Hey, we're fighting for Matt Chapman, the Giants and the Jays, man. This how bad both teams are.
I love a man who hits 230, man.
That's actually the Giants' favorite. Better than 220.
Andy, I guess I'll ask you about Draymond, who probably tried to, kind of set up that whole LeBron trade anyways. How has he been post-suspension? Mm-hmm. I know the Dre at center lineups have looked good numbers-wise and all that stuff. The defenses look better with him in the lineup, and him and Kuminga and whatnot. How's that looked with him back?
So they finally shelved the Kevon Looney Draymond 4-5, right? Yeah. You talked about that. The net rating was the best in the league last year. A little fluky. He's back to who he was, man. Like he's a little out of control. He's crazy, but he doesn't go over the line, right? Like he's towing it. He's got hard fouls. Yeah, he's yelling at refs. Yesterday he was going at one of the local reporters or local radio guys on TV yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's all mad about that. So he's acting like Draymond, right? Yeah. He's acting like a guy that's, he's petty, he's kind of immature, he's a little crazy, but he's perfect on the basketball court. He's absolutely perfect. So I think this is the version that they needed. I honestly, again, I go back to fake stuff. I don't think he did anything the time off. I think they just suspended him 15 games and he pretended like he got help. and it's honestly it's a farce. But hey, whatever gets him back into the state of mind that he needs to be to play like Draymond Green got them there. I think the one more strike and you're out really hit him. I think that's probably the only thing, because he let's say he goes into Toronto tonight and let's say he whacks Scotty Barnes in the face. Like,
it's totally possible, man. That's like
everything.
That's like minus 200 right now.
Scotty Barnes got a punchable face. You know what I mean? So it's like,
come on,
wow. The face of the league
on the Raptors show.
The punchable face of the league. How could you, man?
I actually like Scotty Barnes a lot. I like he's a guy that I think you talk about knows how to play basketball. Like that's Scotty Barnes
for sure.
You know what I mean, like
absolutely.
Versus Kuminga, who's learning how to play basketball. Scotty Barnes already knows how to play basketball.
Everyone's put their pitchforks away now. That's good. You've instantly got people to withdraw. Yeah, good.
He can't shoot though, just like a warrior. He's perfect, right? So, but where was I? Yeah, I mean, just with Draymond, one striking you're out. I think that kind of wakes him up, right? But I don't think he's changed. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you, he actually did therapy. No chance, man.
Yo.
The guy was partying the whole time. He was chilling.
I had a question about that, man. Well, I mean, because we talked about sports documentaries earlier. Everything's a sports doc. Everything's a little produced to a certain degree. It's not as authentic as Clay walks around. Yeah. The sports doc I actually need is of whatever therapy sessions. And I know that this totally breaks the doctor-patient confidentiality, but I needed that. I needed the Tony Sopranos, Dr. Melfi scenes
DeMar is
between
doing the podcast.
Draymond and whatever therapist had the unfortunate luck of sitting through his BS.
Tony Soprano therapy session.
I don't even know if he saw a therapist. His therapist might have been tequila and LA. Oh you know what I mean? Like that might have been therapy. He's not changed. I mean,
look at him, man.
Come on, what are we doing?
No, dude, it's the same guy. Honestly, you don't even want him to change. You just don't want him to punch people as much.
Yeah. Like, what do we look? I was in therapy for 6 years.
Yeah.
You need years, man. You don't need 2 weeks. What's 2 weeks gonna do for you? What's 2 weeks gonna do for you, man? Like, was he dealing with anxiety? You giving him anxiety meds?
No, he learned a breathing technique and he came back out. He was ready to go, man.
You learn how to
ground yourself.
Count to 10.
Airbend. You just learn how to airbend.
That's the other grandson of the win right there. Draymond. All right. So the Raptors play the Warriors tonight.
Yep.
This is why we had this discussion. This is good. I like this.
Right.
All right, the young guys. Give me some. Okay, we talked about Kuminga a little bit. Pajemski, Moody. We saw him come back and play, and he was guarding on the stretch last night.
Pajemski also doubtful for tonight's game.
He's doubtful?
He is doubtful.
That's tough.
For tonight's game.
Gotta change my TV hit because I have some cool stats about him. Wow, actually, that's good news for me because I need to actually alert my producers real quickly. But Trace Jackson Davis, he's also around. Anything cool you wanted to him about the young guys? I guess.
We'll go with Pods first. I know he's doubtful tonight, but I mean, honestly, if there's someone that plays to a doubtful tag, it's Pods. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he played. But Pods is. I mean, I wasn't high on Pods. I mean, look at him.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, that doesn't look like an NBA player, but he's got incredible basketball feel. He's got incredible energy. I don't know what his upside is. I know my co-host that thinks he has super high upside. I don't know about that. But he's super alert help defender. Can shoot the ball a little bit. I think the thing about him that's super interesting is, man, he's super cocky. Like he just
he likes to talk. Yeah.
I think he thinks he's the best player on the court, which is hilarious. Because
guys listen to Jack Harlow. I know before the game. There's no way this guy's not a Jack Harlow fan.
Oh, come on. Why you gotta do that?
Come on, dude. Look at him. Look at him.
He's hilarious. So I would, if he plays tonight, I think that's the guy to keep on the lookout just because I don't think he does anything that's super wowy, but he does all the tiny, small stuff that all NBA nerd fans love. And I do too. Moses Moody's someone that hasn't played all season. But I would say he's probably a Masai guy. I think Masai would probably like him. He's long, he's a wing, also knows how to play.
They did like him. I mean,
he did?
Yeah.
I didn't make that up. I mean,
I think they got the right guy from Montverde that year.
Well,
they did.
You're probably right.
I'm definitely right.
But he's good. He's he's another guy that knows how to play, but he's been benched behind Wiggins, Clay, and all those guys. But last night, like you said, he played very good defense against Jalen Brunson, who's a 1, and then the last one, TJD is another guy that should play more. Is a theme, right? Like probably should have played more. Pick and roll guy with Chris Paul, and so the Warriors they probably need Moses Moody to step up the most now because hey, I don't know when
I never asked you about Wiggins, but if you want to talk about Wiggins, man, go ahead because.
Wiggins, I hate talking about, but since this isn't my podcast, I'm going to talk about it.
Oh, let's go. That's what I was hoping for.
I can't stand the people who say, it's his personal stuff. We don't get to have a say into what it is that he's dealing with. What are we talking about here? What are we doing? Last time I checked, his job is to actually play basketball. And his team has struggled with him being out, and they haven't been happy about it. So it's not like they've excused him and been like, all right, do whatever you want, come back whenever you want. No, last season when he was gone, they said, all right, you're gone. We expect you to come back at some point, go deal with what you got to deal with. And then that stretched into the end of the season. They're all sitting here like, man, what are we doing? Right? Yeah. Guys weren't happy. And for that to happen again, and the funniest part is it happens after the trade deadline when they were shopping him and then they didn't trade him. And then he's like, all right, well, I'm gone again. And I just don't think the players are happy with it. I know Steve Kerr isn't happy with it. But the good thing about the Warriors is they've got great character leaders. You know what I mean? Like, Steve Kerr's not going to throw him under the bus. Steph's not going to come out here and say anything cryptic. Like, he's not going to do some LeBron stuff. Right. Draymond, questionable who he is as a leader, but like
he's not going to punch him.
I'm not.
Yo, what?
I'm not. But I'm not. That's my wife wanted to. So
is this new?
Now,
oh, man.
Yeah, like a couple months.
More dogs on the Raptors show. Let's go.
More dogs than Wiggins, right? Yeah, more dogs.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's so. I'm guessing that dog's not named Andrew.
Named Maui.
Maui, nice.
Little 8-pound doxy. But I think it's hard on the team. I think they put a brave face on. But I think back to the players that you're talking about. This is the moment for Moses Moody because it's a 50-50 shot at this point whether he comes back and whether Wiggins is on the team next season. I think Moses Moody is sitting here, and I think it's fine for him. He's not the same player. He's not athletic, right? He doesn't create his own shot as much, but man, it's his time. It's his time. If he can play himself into a role, then I think he ends up staying on this team long term. Versus, I think Moses Moody probably should have requested a trade at the trade deadline because he's just not getting run for a kid that I think would probably play 20 minutes for 20 teams out in the NBA right now. Like, would Moses Moody play for the Toronto Raptors right now?
Absolutely. We played Bruce Brown 25 minutes ago.
100%. Yeah.
He sounds good though.
Not for the Raptors. Not for the Raptors.
Okay, well,
you should look at Well, you'll see tonight actually. But in any case, Andy, I appreciate you, my brother. Until I see you next time, in the suburbs of San Francisco, of SF. You taught me some terms, SF. All right.
Yeah. Apparently, they don't call it like they get offended when you say San Fran.
Yeah, I bet that's been out, man.
But I didn't know that.
No,
I'm new. I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's see. We got a man right here who has a been out.
Look.
You don't know what San Mateo feels like in the nighttime. You know what I mean?
We got more things to deal with in SF now than people saying San Fran. The public.
Oh, Dory, we've heard Charles Barkley. We've heard.
I got my vest. I got my bulletproof vest on right now.
Oh, that's all right, man.
All right,
Andy, I appreciate you.
I love
dude.
my city. I'm kidding.
Take. Oh no, you gotta love it to actually hate it. And Andy is true SF, born and raised throughout, and that's why he lives in San Mateo now. All right, man. All right, we'll see you, buddy.
All right, guys. Take care.
Listen to Andy Liu, Sam Esfandiar, Light Years podcast.
Yeah, another Esfandiar.
I was gonna say,
yeah, I know. Isn't it weird? He has an Esfandiar co-host, and I'm kind of guest host.
We're like an off-brand Light Years right now. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's where the Raptor shows now.
Yeah.
We're off-brand Light Years.
I wanted to ask him about the play-in stuff and just like chances. How do you feel about their chances?
I feel like the West is a bloodbath. And I actually feel like in terms of rule changes we need this year, the Western Conference play-in should get to play against the Eastern Conference play-in for the right to go to the playoffs. Because if I told you, do you want to see a 7-game series of Dallas, of Sacramento, of Golden State, and of the Lakers, I would say yes to all of that. Would I want to see a 7-game series of Atlanta? No. Chicago? No. Miami? Honestly, like, I guess Miami's really good in the playoffs, so yes. Indiana? Honestly, if you can't get better than 7, then no. You know what I mean? I'd honestly much rather – I want to see the West play the East for the right to play in the play-in.
I think another rule change, if you want, you know how they used to in the bubble say, hey, you have to be a certain games back to even provoke a play-in or whatever, invoke a play-in tournament.
Right, I remember that.
If the Bulls are 5 games back of the 8th seed.
That's what
the Hawks
invented
are
the play-in, by the way.
Yeah, the Hawks are 7 games back of the 8th seed, okay?
Yeah.
If we look at the Warriors, who are in the same spot as the Hawks, 10 seed, right? Warriors are only 3 games back of 6, 2 games back of 8.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You're fighting. You should be in a play-in. That makes sense. The Hawks should not be in a play-in spot right now.
Let me see the Warriors play the Hawks for the right to go to the playoffs, okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to take our last break of the day. We're bringing our last guest of the day. But I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. Welcome back to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, William Lou. Esfandiar Baraheni. Was I mispronouncing your name this whole time or no? Tell me the truth.
Why? What'd you say? I don't even remember what you said.
Esfandiar Baraheni.
No, you got it right.
Okay,
well, the last name you can enunciate it if you want to. Baraheni.
Baraheni.
There you go.
I just go with that.
Are you for real?
Yeah, S is the way to go.
Are you for real?
EB. I like EB.
It's pronounced Henny?
Yeah.
That's
Anything
hard.
is possible.
That's hard. Whoa.
If I had a rap name.
We had the Henny God in the building the whole time? Wow. Yes, man. Last segment here, and we brought in Michael Grange.
Yes.
Who's wearing a turtleneck with no chain. All right.
The chain.
No, listen, Grange, a turtleneck.
There was never a world that would wear a chain.
A turtleneck and a chain is a classic look. This is you have almost a perfect Toronto date night look. You're just missing a little silver chain.
I don't want to go down this road. I would either be made fun of. We said this off air. I would either be made fun of, or people would think I was making fun of people who wear the chain.
If you walked into the Raptors locker room tonight with the silver chain on in this outfit,
bust down.
What do you think the players would say?
I have children up to the approximate age of professional basketball players, and they would laugh at me. So
okay, fair enough.
This is as far, and I do think I'm the first in-person turtleneck wearer.
You are.
Yeah, Alvin and Devlin.
I've always loved the turtleneck suit look. It's I think it's even better than the shirt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm not that big a fan. A little uncomfortable, but whatever.
It's hot.
Break it out once in a while.
Yeah.
So were you at practice yesterday?
I was. Yeah.
Did you get a slice?
Pizza.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, we did, and apparently Darko paid for it. We'll see. I bumped.
Did he deliver it? I need all the details.
He did not deliver it. No.
Okay.
So who brought it in?
The PR staff. They did.
Okay.
It was very nice the way they did it. And
all right.
They made it sound like there was a meeting, and Jen Quinn was looking all stern, and I was like, oh, okay, what's going on now? And they walked in with the pizza.
Good pizza.
Maker's Pizza.
Yeah, Maker
good.
Pizza.
Good.
Yeah.
And bumped
Salty,
into Bobby and
bit,
Masai after, and I said, now you watch your expenses. You watch those expense reports. We'll see who actually paid for this thing. So, but no, I actually have no doubt that Darko. I remember being on a road trip earlier this year, and we were in Texas, and we were about to go to San Antonio. We were asking just stories about Pop. It was not for writing or anything. And that's one of the first things he brought up was
the dinners.
He would make a real point. I think he put a number on it. It was if not hundreds, it might have been hundreds of thousands of dollars Pop would spend on taking the team out for dinners. Yeah. And now the guy makes whatever. But
you don't think he expensed that to Peter Holt though?
No.
Maybe. Who knows? And he's writing those giant tips for the servers and
course.
stuff. So I don't think Darko's in that league yet. But
I think Pop makes 12 a year now.
Yeah.
The mid-level.
But I mean, I think the point being is it's something that he noticed as a young coach, respects, and
I like that.
I think a lot of the players like it too, like the fact that he is so invested on the family side, trying to make it family. Every time they do 1, 2, 3 family, right there.
Great. You know what? It's good that we have you here because, as you mentioned earlier, you have some kids who are roughly the same age as the players. So you understand how difficult it is to engage this current generation of like being in the here and now, not split, not like half here, half somewhere else, not distracted, in the moment with the people that you're in the room with. Yeah. And I think that's more than anything else the point of the dinners.
Yeah, no, that's a great observation, and I wouldn't be surprised if those dinners are kind of like phones are down or phones, don't bring them, whatever it might be, and and in the end, it always comes back to talent and execution, of course, and all that.
No amount of dinners is going to win you necessarily games.
But I think it's you got to put your organization, your team in the best position to reach whatever potential it has. And I think the seasons are very long. And I think also with Darko, he's very committed to his brand of coaching being on a personal level, on a kind of a one-to-one type, building these kind of relationships. They take time. And anytime you're in an environment like a meal, whatever, you have a better chance of kind of building another connection. Sure. And so we'll see, but yeah, I think it was a cool thing, and it's kind of crazy it took this long for him to win 3 games. But
who had the most slices in the media room?
It was fun. I know I had 3. Okay. I don't know if anyone had more than 3, but
all right.
I'm always a good bet.
Are you a pizza guy?
I'm an eater guy. Yeah,
me too.
I'm a volume person.
Me too.
It sucks that practices at the same time as the show, so we could not.
Yeah. No, the joke of it was we'd already committed at home to have pizza that night, and
oh really?
So it was a big pizza day for me.
Nice.
So, yeah.
How? I guess we're about 2 months in to this new iteration of this team. From your perspective, how have you kind of made it up? How do you feel?
Yeah, I like it. Like, I mean, I'm not going to get too carried away of this is, this is the foundation. This is where, it's going to lead to something big. But what I like is, it seems like a group as constructed that is very willing and bought in to play the way the style their coach envisions. And, we've seen it in a few bits, and there's all those the assist numbers we talk about. There's a little bit of a double edge to that, and why they have so many assists. Well, they don't really have that many guys who can win a one-on-one battle. Yeah. So they got to do it that way, and you can see down in the the fourth quarter a little bit of it at Indy, and I thought a little bit in the down in the guts of the game the other night. Yeah, it's hard to run position, passing, cutting offense when the defense dials in. It gets really hard. Sure. It's not impossible, but it gets harder. But anyway, all that's to say, I like it. I like the way they play. I think the way the second unit, defensive side has a chance to really I kind of noted this the other day, is on some teams, your second unit is often the best expression of what the coach really wants your team to look like. Because, first unit, you got to cater, right? Yeah. Like often, like you got stars and you got touches and you got this, you got that. Second unit is like, put me in, coach. Right. So they're going to play. Yeah. And we've seen that in this market a number of times. And I think, when that second unit is really rolling with Scotty plus bench, and you got Grady and Kelly. I mean, it's a nice brand of basketball to watch.
Yeah, it's the most dynamic we've seen the bench play pretty much since the bench mob. Maybe the year after the championship as well to a degree, but there is clearly that identity and that flow, and I think especially for developmental purposes, Darko's system does put the players in positions where they got to do more than one thing. Yeah, very few players on the team only do one thing, and maybe they're not necessarily good at it, but maybe long term when you think about, okay, how do we improve a player who maybe is only good at one or two things, you have to actually put them in some shallow water, maybe the shallow end, not the deep end, to do it. And now I think start of the season when they put Precious in this position to be like, hey, Kelly Olynyk, we would love you to play like Kelly Olynyk. It's like, all right, that looked like a disaster. But you could tell some guys aren't going to be cut out for it. But ultimately, you see Grady, for example. Grady's been mid-season one of the best developmental stories. It's definitely the best one for this year. Oh, yeah. Right? Mid-season.
It's been it'd be really interesting to try and find an example, at least within Raptors, franchise history, of a guy who was like a complete 180. Like you can kind of look at his games log and go, up to this point, it was reasonable to go, is this guy going to make it? You're not.
Well, even in the G League,
and then he goes to G League and he's maybe even worse, and you're like, okay, was this a miss? Not that you're writing him off, but it was unusually bad.
Yeah.
I guess.
The stat I kept going to was at the same age with the same attempts in the G League, Bruno Caboclo has shot a higher percentage than Grady was.
Sure.
Which is absurd because we all know Grady's a better shooter.
And now he has the third best 3-point shooting percentage of the last month.
Yeah. And like,
exactly.
like it's a 17-game sample, which means nothing.
Right.
But it's very encouraging. And I think very encouraging for the player. I think it's a lot of credibility for the coaching staff. I think in the eyes of management, it's, you know, because look, the staff is still getting evaluated, right? They've proven nothing in this league. And so, you know, if you're, not that they're super impatient, but when you see a guy your scouting staff thought so highly of and he's cratering, and then to see him turn around like that, that's okay. Well, good. This is encouraging. So, yeah, it's a very unusual story, I would say, just the 180 element of it, but a very, you know, positive one, obviously.
Do you think the vibes have anything to do with that? And I mean, it's hard to gauge vibes, right?
You know how many times we've had Grange on and asked him about vibes?
Really? Is he a vibes guy?
Specialist.
Well, it's like,
with the turtleneck and everything, you really do look like a vibe specialist.
No, but I mean, the cloud is sort of gone now, right? There's so much.
What's the line about happiness, right? It's reality minus expectations or something like that. There's some form. Anyway, it's a good line, but I'm butchering it as usual. But yeah, like, I mean, once they made those trades, everything this season is gravy. You have a vague goal of, well, a very specific goal, but a very minimal chance of actually pursuing the play-in.
Optimistic goal.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, let's try and chase this down. But also, if you go through that roster, you know, it's very clear an expectation for development, for opportunity, and it's really an extended. It's almost like your summer program has started now.
Yeah,
and it, like, done right, it could be incredibly valuable, right? Like, because when you look at the story of, like, look at the Warriors tonight, right? And I heard the segment before, which was great, by the way. You know, and you're talking about Kuminga and Podziemski. Well, contrast Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski, sorry. And you know, one guy got minutes right away, and he's everybody's favorite, right? The other two guys, there just wasn't room on those teams.
Yeah.
And so, and Moody's still kind of trying to battle uphill against that. And, you know, it's just the hardest thing to get in this league is reps and minutes. And you have players in this environment who I'm sure are very eager and recognize the opportunity to get it.
Yeah. Still not assault, like still not.
Well, that makes for good vibes, right?
Yeah, of course. It's,
you know?
I think vibes, you know, we talk about the pizza party and, you know, dinners and whatnot. I think that builds certain things, trust being one of them, just relying on someone and being willing to kind of buy into a program. I think the ball movement side of things doesn't happen if guys aren't willing to,
I agree.
you know, and maybe that was the case pre-trades, you know, some guys saying, you know, we might want to call our own number a few times if you want to say. I guess this team isn't solidified yet. There's still questions moving forward, off-season wise, what they'll do. I know you had a tweet earlier about Kelly Olynyk,
right?
Potential extension. How soon do you think that might be?
I mean,
how far are we from that?
Yeah, I mean, my information is that they're not very far away on an agreement, and just CBA wise, you know, if there is going to be an extension, the parameters are pretty limited. It can only be a 2-year extension,
right? Because
he was traded, and it can only be for 5% raises over the 2 years. So, based on what he's making now, so like you can do the math. Okay, it's 2 years, probably 25 million-ish, right. You know, give or take 100,000. So, you know, and Kelly, you've got a player who says, "I want to be here my whole career." I did run this by Kelly the other day. He's like, he didn't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, I'm open to staying. So, you know, could happen tomorrow, it could happen a week tomorrow, it could happen anytime. But
there's no deadline on this.
There's no deadline. The key is, though, the 2-year extension means that he's immediately trade eligible.
Right.
Otherwise, it would be 6 months after they sign the longer extension.
Interesting.
And all that,
also, his cap hold would be less, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so the team's incented, and I guess from Kelly's point of view, it would be: is there a 3-year deal out there for me? Is there more than basically the mid-level, which is what this deal is? Would be, you know, and
look, man, probably not.
Hard to know. And you know, and what's the value
if it is,
of?
It's probably less than the 25 or whatever.
And what's the value of being the hometown guy who finished his career in Toronto as a productive player? We've never really seen that.
Yeah.
You know, you want to set yourself up for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea either.
I think, you know, Scotty and Darko both mentioned how important Thad was, but also Thad playing. and how, just being on the court with a guy who can kind of talk you through certain things was important. Kelly's an elevated version of that.
Sure.
In the sense that he's still playing out there. He's still conversating. Even day one, there was, communications between him and Scotty on, hey, you got to be here, whatnot. Mm-hmm. I think that's important for a guy like Scotty and for really everybody else on the team. So,
who I think it's really important for is Grady.
Right.
Scotty's going to make, he'll figure out. Yeah. He's going to be good. He doesn't really need that much help. He does need some, of course. But Grady Dick, he's, as we've talked about, it's not make or break, but all of a sudden, it's not a coincidence. I think we've seen some of his best basketball playing in a unit alongside a guy like Kelly Olynyk, who recognizes every touch available, every kind of pick and pop available.
Right.
And, that's, for that alone, if you can elevate Grady from, a guy who could be part of a rotation to being a guy who could be, I'm probably going to talk to tonight on the broadcast just because Klay Thompson's in town. Mm-hmm. I'm not comparing Grady Dick to one of the best
of course.
who's ever done it. Yeah. But if you were really to kind of break down their games in terms of size, movement skills, of the various strengths that go into their offensive side of the ball, he's a pretty good role model for Grady Dick.
Yeah. Even the attention he's already getting. You see, those flare screens and whatnot that he's coming off of.
Guys respect him, man.
They're respecting the shot.
You see a white guy running around on the court, you follow him. Doesn't matter what level of basketball this is. I got 2 questions left for you guys real quickly because we've got 2 minutes. Where do you think the Emmanuel Quickley extension lands in that?
All I've ever heard from day one was it was going to be Devin Vassell money.
Okay.
So that's in the neighborhood of about $30 million.
Okay.
And that was...
I'm more comfortable now, especially when he's scoring 20 a game and it looks more even rather than the up and down.
Yeah. You're also sort of extending for what he will... what you're hoping he will.
But here's another 23 games, him as a starter.
Yeah.
He's been pretty good as a starter. I think he'd be more comfortable if he was more like what we've seen the last
couple games.
Of games. But yeah, it's going to be a big number, and there's going to be teams. He is RFA, but you don't think Orlando would take a run? You don't think
San Antonio
would take a run? Right. So it's going to be a number.
The other quick question before we just quickly go through tonight's game. Bruce Brown, you reported that there was a first on the table.
Right when they.
At the trade deadline?
At the trade deadline, yeah. A fake first, like a bad first. You know what I mean?
Okay. So one of the Knicks first, basically.
Yeah. And I think at the time, what it was told to me was, the Raptors wanted some of the Knicks' future firsts,
right?
Instead of versus another first at the back end of the 24 draft. They're like, okay, we got
because they're already trading out of that with the Ocha and Kelly.
So I think that was the issue. And the Knicks were like, no, we aren't trading any of those because we still want to have our powder dry if we want to go
Arsenal,
the superstar.
All right, time now for Between the Lines. Thank you for the clarity there, Grange. Brought to you by Bet Rivers. Take a chance. Line of night, Raptors, 3.5 dogs.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Warriors have won, I believe, 12 of the last 15. And, they came off the win last night. Got in really late. You got a quick pick for me here? Where's a hot? But they did land at 7:15 a.m. or whatever it was.
I'd take the Raptors in points.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I guess to cover, I would say yes.
Okay. I mean, it covers. So you just a close game. That's like a game winner, like Steph Curry at the buzzer type of deal. Like he should have hit that 3 at the end there in game 6.
Exactly.
But he bricked it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steph, for breaking that one. Because Serge was late on that screen. We never talk about that. Okay. All right. I'll ride with that. Let's go. Let's go Raptors tonight.
I know you're picking Raptors.
I almost always pick the Raptors, no matter what. And that was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Take a chance on the Raptors.
How's your bank this year?
Don't worry, man. That's all good. It's all good.
33 pace win team.
It's all good. Grange, I appreciate you always joining us.
Yeah, pleasure.
See you down in the arena. And S, man, did a great job, buddy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. It's all done. Keep killing it.
Hope you got all the love for this.
Yes.
But you just keep rising. What's that?
You're going to bust him about his commercial?
Oh, we did that yesterday.
Yeah. He's basically the GoDaddy of
come on. He ate that curse from all of us, and that's a win for the franchise. But seriously, thank you, Ez.
Of course.
And that does it for us today. I've been your host, Will Lou. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. It's time to get fired up. Thanks again to producer Ahmed Man, our producer Derek Burnell, Jennifer Olick, David Sis, Jeremy Ted helping behind the scenes. Big thanks to our guests, Annie Lou, Michael Grange. A huge thanks to Ez for co-hosting this week. And we'll be back next week.